Welcome to another episode of Marriott's Chariots, where we are awaiting the arrival of our next customer. Ah, well, we can hear him now, but what a racket. Right, here he is. Well, he looks like he's come straight from the banger racing circuit. Perhaps the winner of the last man standing, if there ever can ever be such a thing as a winner. Well, the good news is he got to be with us pretty much under his own steam. Well, maybe just. And what we have is it's a Polistil A78, I think is the model number, Alfa Romeo. It's a 132 scale. These were made in the late 60s and 70s, I think it was. Under the brand name, well, Polistil, but under the brand name of a Policar. Well, we can see some obvious issues with them. Tyres, missing tyre, and a rock hard tyre to start with. At least the motor still works. Looks like it might have been painted at one time with black paint, and that's been rubbed off. And unfortunately, the plastic's got quite a lot of scratching on it perhaps. I've seen it described elsewhere where these the plastics on these cars is a bit like Tupperware plastic, so probably doesn't, I don't know how well that'll clean up later, but we'll see. I do quite like the idea of black paint to highlight these recesses, so maybe there was quite a good idea to that, sort of highlighting vents and creases and what have you. Bit like when you paint models, you use like a wash afterwards to highlight creases in uniforms and things. Anyway, so the plan is we're going to strip it down, give it a good clean, get some new tyres on there, reassemble it, and then we'll be back and see where we are. Thanks very much. Right, back again just to show you. I like the simplistic way that these cars are put together. It's just a single screw in the front here that holds the body to the chassis, so it screws out, and then there's a little clip at the back, like a locating lug. So yeah, just take the screw out, tip the body up, slide it off the back, and we have a good look inside. And yeah, full of muck, needs a very good clean. Probably loads of DNA in there. Yeah, so we'll give that a good clean. It looks like it was painted on the inside as well. We've got an onlooker over here, just wondering if he thinks it's even worth the trouble of doing this. But no, he reckons, he's shaking his head, he reckons it's not worth the headache. Okay. Well, what does he know? He's just a cokehead. So we're going to not listen to him, and we're going to carry on with our project. So just busy cleaning it up now. The front axle just simply comes off, pulled one of the wheels off, and then we can easily get the spacers out. So we're just going to give all that a clean. By chance, I managed to find online from Jag's slotcars another body. So that's how it should look. This one looks brand new, unused, and at least it's got a couple of stickers on it. But it doesn't have a glass, so I'm definitely going to have to clean the glass up from the old one. I'm going to have a go at cleaning the whole body up anyway on the old one, and then we'll decide later which one to use. So in the meantime, we'll carry on dismantling everything and give it a clean. Right, looking at the motor, we're just going to undo these two tabs there and there to start taking it apart. Probably going to do away with all these suppressors and things that are on here, but I've already loosened them, so let's have a look inside. Yeah, it's going to need a good clean up. Right, so we'll keep taking that apart.
Right, we've stripped the motor a bit. We're going to clean up the bells and the magnets, get all this paint out of it. Careful we don't lose these tiny little washers, they go on the end of the shaft. There's some more up here. Clean up the springs that retain the brushes, and then of course give this a good clean up as well. Right, hello, back again. What we've achieved so far is cleaning the parts of the motor, taken all the paint and what have you off it, cleaned up the armature and the commutator using some alcohol, giving it a good wipe down, get it all shiny again. We've cleaned up all the other retaining springs, brushes and what have you. What I have noticed is the non-metallic spacer or washer that sits up hard against the commutator before the metal spacers on the end. That's pretty much disintegrated, so I'm just going to use a replacement plastic washer to go up there, and that'll stop any arcing from the commutator across to these metal sections over here. So we're going to put it together, but I'll just show you before we put any of the spacers back in. If we just quickly assemble it and hold it together, and hopefully we can see that. Just holding it together fairly loosely, it spins nicely. Obviously you can see it's got a lot of float in it because none of the spacers are in at the moment. But if we just spin that, you can see how the magnetic field inside is holding it at that space. So the shaft down here only sticks out by that much on this side. That's where it naturally wants to sit. But of course, if I put too many spacers in, what I found is that it sits too far in. And if I don't put any spacers in, there's a danger of it going too far that way. So it's basically just one of the brass spacers is going to go inside the, so just one of these. I found that just one of those back on there on that side holds it just in the right place, and then on this side we'll have the one plastic one followed by the one brass one, and that gives it just a tiny bit of play but keeps it in roughly where the magnets want to have it naturally. So I've ended up with one spare brass washer anyway, so I suspect it wasn't sitting quite perfectly anyway. So we'll assemble all that in a minute. The other thing we've done is clean up all the paint off all the black paint off the old body. Like I said, I quite like the highlighting of the black in places, so I left that. One thing I haven't been able to achieve yet is get rid of all these old scuff marks, so I might still have a fiddle with some other options on that. By taking all the paint off on the inside, it has lightened up the red colour, so it has made it look a bit brighter anyway. The glass is cleaned up, and I've just put it inside the new body for now, so I'll probably assemble the car with the new body as it probably should look. The old one, another alternative might be just to cover up the bad scuff marks with some stickers or decals if I can get them to stay on. We've got some new tyres onto the chassis, courtesy of Top Toys in Italy. They do tyres for these Polistil Policars. So I've gone for the ultra soft, well, I think they call them super soft. They've got nice little grips on them. And I'm going to leave the black paint on the chassis because originally it would have been a white colour. So I might even just touch up this loss of paint, just keep it black actually. And then we're going to do away with the old brushes, which were these sort of quite stiff, sort of silver coloured ones. And we're going to put soft copper looking ones, a bit like the ones on this car here. So we're going to do that, assemble it all, and see how we go from there. Just prior to final assembly, what we did is put just a tiny drop of oil on the shaft here in that bearing area. Likewise on the other end of the shaft, just down here, before putting on the pinion gear. So a tiny drop of oil on the axles on the front and in the back. A bit of grease on the gears where the gears meet. Also just put a tiny drop of oil over here where the blade slides. And again, I just put a tiny bit of oil on the braids themselves. That was basically all we did before putting the body back on and giving it a few test laps. Well, there we go. After a few laps, very happy with the way this car performs. I like the way that they go around the corners. They have no magnets, so they slide very well. Quite a low center of gravity, so yeah, they go around the corners really well. So now he can join the rest of his team in the restored Polistil Policar paddocks. So what's the moral of the story? Well, I think it's no matter how broken you are or how unworthy you think you are, as long as you place yourself in trusty hands, you can be restored. And don't listen to some others, because they may have troubles of their own. Am I right or am I right? Yes, I thought so. Right, thanks for watching.